Each candidate has 1 minute to answer their questions. When you're about to run out of time, a staff member is going to hold up a sign saying you have 30 seconds left or 10 seconds left or whatever. And when your 1 minute is done, a staff member is going to shout time and you must stop at that time. Questions will be asked in a random order. And I think that's it in terms of the instructions. Can I get one of the Vice President Welfare candidates to come up, please? And also, I'm really sorry if I pronounce anyone's name wrong. Sorry in advance. Yeah. Also, I forgot to say that this is your chance to hear what the candidates have to say, their manifesto points and everything, and then at the end, if you have time, you can ask them questions as well.
Talk, yeah, so we can catch your audio.
Yeah, this is one, yeah.
Are you ready? Okay, so question number 1, I'm gonna say the question and then I'm gonna tell who's gonna answer first, okay? Why did you decide to run for the role? And are there any particular experiences you have that will benefit you in this role? Can I have Kirsty to go first, please?
Yeah, so I have been the LGBTQ plus officer this year, and there's a lot of things that I wanted to do, and there's a lot of things that I am doing ongoing, and I'd just like to really continue the work and make differences at Aston. Yeah.
Thank you. Funmiola?
Ufoma. So I remember the third week precisely I came into Aston. I went into the student union building. I broke down and just started crying. I was literally crying. And at that point I knew that there was a problem. I didn't know where to go ask questions. I was lost. But luckily for me, I had a very good support system that put me back on. And that was when I knew that it was not just me going through this problem. A lot of students on campus are just moving and unknowingly having mental issues, struggling with a lot. That number one, they are finding it difficult to communicate. They don't know who to talk to. It's just so many things happening at the same time. And that for me, the experiential, the fact that I went through it and people are still going through it, that was the pointer that I knew that it's something I could use to help others. So just having that experience gave me a shot for it. Yeah.
Thank you both. Second question. If you could list 3 main issues relating to student well-being that you would say are priority, which issues would they be and why? And can I have Ufoma to go first, please?
So first and foremost, like I said, one of the issues that I think students are struggling right now is information. Information is key. And unfortunately, students are paying dearly for it. Because if you are rightly informed, it will address. I keep saying, life happens. We can't control life. Life happens to everybody, but one thing we can do is not just to allow life happen to you, but happen for you. So that's one thing I think students are struggling with. Information, the right information. We all know why we are here, but there are so many things that feed into it. Secondly, the one thing I think students are struggling with is a support system. It's a journey we are all going on through. But we need people to hold our hands. We need mentors, we need coaches, we need friends. We need a group to fall back on. Those are things I think that students are struggling with to find their place. Thank you.
Thank you. Kirsty?
Yes.
If you need me to repeat the question,
Yeah, can you repeat that question, please?
If you could list 3 main issues relating to student well-being that you would say are priority, which issues would they be and why?
So I'd say one that is always a big thing is mental health support. University is a really, really stressful time, and especially now with cost of living, it just makes things so much harder. And I think it's so important to have this mental health support, and knowing to where the services and support is that you can get it. Safety, on campus, off campus, very, very important. How to take care of yourself physically, mentally, very important.
Accessibility as well. People should be able to use any space on campus, no matter what they need, what their need requirements are. And to have a really immersive experience at university, you need to have that accessibility.
Thank you. Third question. This role works with a lot of different departments in the university and externally. How would you manage these relationships to benefit students? Can I have Kirsty to go first, please? This role works with a lot of different departments in the university and externally. How would you manage these relationships to benefit students?
Well,
This role works with a lot of different departments in the university and externally. How would you manage these relationships to benefit students?
okay, so at my asset, I've worked with many different clubs and societies. Externally, on my placement year, I worked in NHS services, which worked with many multidisciplinary groups. So making sure that there is always information available, you are always asking questions, understanding who you're talking to and how they work, and their key components that can benefit students.
Thank you.
4 months.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Shortening to Omar.
Oma.
Yeah, so obviously this role comes with a lot of thinking skills, and it's something that I've been able to develop over the years because I've worked in a COVID team, and that's worked with a lot of people with diverse needs, cultures, background. And in working with different departments in delivering value to the students, I think the most important thing is first and foremost to understand the need of the students. Once you understand the need and have been able to communicate effectively and identify the department that speaks to that need, the ability to understand what the student wants, what the department is able to give, and which points that both parties are in the same place. The most importantly, the voice of the student is clearly heard and effectively communicated. That's something that I think will help in harnessing the team together.
Thank you so much. And we are done with the Vice President welfare questions. Can we have a round of applause for welfare questions? Thank you so much. Can I have Vice President Education candidates up, please?
Education. Education.
Alright, you both, let me know when you're both ready. Okay. If you guys need me to go over the instructions, let me know. And if you need me to repeat the question, let me know. So we're going to start off with the first question. What is your opinion of blended learning, and what do you think students would like to see from the university learning experience going forward? Can I have a Dora answer it, please?
So I think blended learning is a good idea because you're having like people that can learn online but also can learn in person. But a lot of students from the feedback that I got this year, a lot of students actually prefer to have in-person learning. Obviously, online learning can help students on like commuter student, on students that have mature students that have other commitments. But at the same time, having in-person learning and having face-to-face engagement is really important. Also, I realized that having in-person stuff, when it's recorded, will also help people that are commuter or mature student, which means that they can actually look back to all those things. Which means blended learning is a good thing to have, but at the same time there needs to be a balance. When it comes to face-to-face engagement, it's really important because students would like to see the lecturer with them, they would like to know what's really going on, and the most important thing is they pay to study to actually happen as a study. So that's quite important.
Thank you, Dora. Divya, would you like me to repeat the question? Or? Okay. What is your opinion of blended learning, and what do you think students would like to see from the university learning experience going forward?
I support blended learning would be
इसको छोटे में करूँ ना, हाँ चलेगा। Oh man.
They can learn online. I believe offline learning is just a better method. But in online learning, we can learn from any part of the world we are living. So the learning shouldn't stop there. And of course, face-to-face learning is just more time to interact with the people, learn more practical things, how to communicate, how to learn.
Thank you so much. We're going to move on to the next question. How would you engage student representatives, and what would you like to change? Can I have Divya first, please?
Well, I think a student representative must know the problem, what's happening within their space, so that it would be easier to point out those things that they actually face in their in reality, so that they can work on it effectively. And
Thank you. Adora? How would you engage student representatives, and what would you like to change?
So one thing this year what I've done is I've restructured the whole school rep system. So we got currently we've got school rep, we've got college rep on PGR student, and then we've got course rep and student rep base. So being a student rep for this when I was in uni really helped me to understand what is a lack amongst the student rep. That isn't really action point follow-up stuff for students to see what's actually going through. And that's the reason why I really want to make sure that all the student and staff community, they will come with action point every single meeting. And in the next meeting, they will be able to present what they have done previously. And moving forward, I would like to do more regular events for all the student reps. For example, they can have like a World Cafe, which there's some poster around the room, and then there's some questions on poster, and they can just comment on things. And that really works well when we want to know a lot of information and comments from the students.
Thank you, Dora. Next question. What does the student voice mean to you, Adora?
I think student voice means a lot of things. I think the main thing is what the student actually wants. When we say about student voice, students always have different opinions, different things that they want us to do, but what is actually the student need that they have? For example, what are they actually want us to help them to do? What do they really want to achieve in the future? What can we give them as guidance, or how can we represent them as they're part of the student voice, and how can I use the PBE role to actually make sure that student voice gets heard? Because a lot of times university doesn't really listen to student voice, and being a PBE will be able to achieve that, to bring it to the next level and make sure that university actually hear about all the students.
Thank you. Divya? Yes, of course I can. What does the student voice mean to you?
I think student voice is not a single voice, it's a collective voice. So the problem each one is facing, there is someone who should and just for a particular person, it's for the whole as a group.
Like, if I had a superpower, I would change the current education system, because not just in UK, all over the world, because in some part of the world it's still quite on the like they are using the same old technique, like read these books and just go with that same notes for on and on. So like I have to change, and what I've learned here is that you are not you are not restricted to limited resources. You can access whatever you want, you can learn, so you can adopt new things. So yeah, I like to change the education system.
Thank you. Dora?
I think if I can have a superpower, I would want to be a door that can go anywhere. I'm not sure have you guys seen like Doraemon, but it's a Japanese anime show. Basically, he have like tons of like different things that he can do lots of weird things, and he have a door that basically you can open and you can just go anywhere you want to. That will really help because as an international student, because of COVID, I haven't been home for like 3.5 years, and I wasn't managed to get back like in time for my grandma's funeral either. And I think that could happen to a lot of students. Being a door that can go anywhere, which means that I can allow a lot of students actually go back to the home country if they need to, or when they need to see their family, or when they have any well-being thing that they want to see their friends immediately, I can take them to it. And it also really helps that like if you want to just see your friends really quickly because you just want help from them, it's a very important thing to have that support. So I think I would like to be a door.
Thank you so much, and that was the end of your question time. Can I have a round of applause for everyone? Thank you. Can I have the Vice President Student Activities candidates next, please? Hello everyone. Okay, so since a lot of the candidates are not here, can I get you three to introduce yourselves, please?
So yeah, I'm Dikshanya Kandagavani. I'm from India. I'm standing for VPSA.
Hello, this is me, Sadia. I'm from Business Analytics and I'm standing for VPSA.
Hello everyone, I'm Anastasia. I'm a final year marketing student at Aston. I'm here for 5 years and I do want to be the next VPSA.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to start with the questions. Often the VPSA is a member of a particular club or society. As the VPSA helps support over 110 clubs and societies, how do you plan on supporting them all fairly, Anastasia?
So being part of both clubs and society committees, so do understand the different needs that both clubs and societies have. So of course I can bring this experience to the table and support them equally. At the same time, it's very important and crucial to work with the SA Executive Committee, as we have 3 student reps for societies and 2 club reps. So I'm going to take the feedback on board and obviously work with them to represent all of the students in the best way possible.
Thank you. Dikshanya?
Yeah, so I just want to make sure that every student has the possible experience with clubs, societies, and their organizations. And also, I think I'll be collaborating with the various officers to make sure that LGBTQ inclusivity and then mental health awareness, everything into.
Thank you. Sadia?
For me, I think while organizing an event, I observed that since a lot of students do not know about a lot of clubs and the activities, so I want to make the SU services more reachable to the students so that they are well aware of whatever committees are there, societies are there, and can actually collaborate with them in the long future. So I think just like everybody has some powerful people in there, so we can talk and collaborate with the students.
Thank you. Next question. What's your vision and how would you encourage more collaboration between clubs and societies, Dikshanya?
I'll be making a commitment to host at least 2 events per month by working with clubs and societies, and I just want to create a dynamic experience for our students, and I want students from all the backgrounds to feel welcomed and valued.
Thank you. Sadia?
Yeah, so for me, I would say that I would make sure that every student feels at home. Even if a lot of students, we do not know their legal advisors when we face any kind of problems in the university, which the SU provides. So there are lots of services there as well, which we as a student do not know. So I will make sure along the events, they get well aware of all the services that SU provides them.
Thank you. Anastasia?
So basically one of my manifesto points is exactly this thing, to merge the gap between the societies and clubs. And this can only happen if we give equal attention to both of them, bring them to the same table, sit around, get to know each other, and of course talk to them. I want to organize meetings bi-weekly with committees from both clubs and societies, so in that way they can sit together, help them to create relations between the committees of clubs and societies, and start planning events and more collaborations in the future, so better communications.
Thank you. Last question. If you were speaking to a new student who said that they weren't interested in joining clubs and societies, what would you say? What would you say to them to convince them otherwise, Sadia?
I would say that to join a club, to have fun, whether it's a postgrad or undergrad, you come here. And I have also said in my manifesto that there will be reduction of time in organizing events or getting it approved, so that they can have more events frequently and can engage within themselves and have more fun in the university.
Thank you, Anastasia.
Can you repeat actually the question?
Of course I can. If you were speaking to a new student and they said that they are not interested in joining a club or society, what would you say to them to convince them otherwise?
I would start by saying that I was an international student. I knew no one when I first came here, and it was the easiest way to meet new friends, make friends. All the people I know at university and my friends is because of clubs and societies. That there always the opportunity, if you're not interested in any of the clubs and societies we have at the moment, to start a new one and do something that is interesting. And also I would be very, very happy to listen any suggestions on how they would like to get involved, because it's not only clubs and societies, there are other activities that they can get involved.
Thank you. Dikshani?
I promise to represent you all throughout the year as a student. I'll just make a promise, and I'll make them first at a comfort zone to make sure that clubs and societies are not just to just have a campus life. Even after they complete graduation also, they'll have tuition and they can look back and they'll have the best memories in SC.
Thank you. Just realized we missed out the part where you guys can ask questions to the candidates. So if anybody has any questions for the for the Vice President Welfare or the Vice President Education candidates, please let us know now.
I just like to ask about previous experience with ASNSU generally. What experience do you guys have with ASNSU?
To be honest, I don't have any experience, because in my home country, I never been elected as anything, because there have been no election yet. So, but since I'm as an Instagram influencer, I'm a digital creator. I've been always working with the campaign. Other than my university, I've been done my bachelor's in engineering, but I don't have the opportunity to do my election things there. But other than that, I have done with the other organizations. So I think that's enough for me to stand for VPSC.
If anyone else would like to answer the question, please go ahead.
Yeah, so basically I was the elected drug officer this year. I'm the elected drug officer this year, and I also am the club representative for the SA Executive Committee, which means I work very close with the VPSA this year. We have some very interesting campaigns, some very interesting events. So of course I do have the experience that it needs to be the best VPSA and go for this role.
For me, I have been back in home. I have been a president of a club. So I have been organizing events all throughout the year. So I have experience from there. And I would say that I'm a digital content creator. So I have been coming to UK. I have collaborated with 20 brands. So that makes me more into organizing events with students and all that. So I think that explains why I'm standing for VPS.
Thank you. If anybody has questions for the previous candidates, the Vice President Welfare and Vice President Education, you can ask them now.
I have one for VPSA.
Go on.
For student activities, they hold many events during the year. What are the most biggest events that happen every year for student activities? And what one event would you want to bring into the activities calendar for clubs and societies to get involved with you?
So basically, of course, I want to maintain the high standards we had for AU Ball this year and all the previous years. The varsity as well. It's a very exciting time. Christmas dinner, I want to upgrade it and make it even better than all the past years. One of the events I want to introduce this year, if I get elected, is the Societies Ball. It used to happen many years ago. Then COVID happened and we didn't have this for loads of years. So I do want to bring back the Societies Ball, and I want to bring as well the Societies Takeover, which is going to be a week long. That all the societies are going to be able to showcase what they've been up to during this year, as of course the clubs had the opportunity during varsity. That's it.
I think already they have many events, but I'm going to introduce a student spotlight where I'll be introducing lights of 2 international students to W Share Tales to the SU Instagram page. And also I want to make sure that we have the award nights, everything, but still I want to accomplish their, I need to showcase their talents to the isolated students so that upcoming year they can also join to the clubs and societies.
Thank you so much. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you so much. I would like to invite Aruba to ask the questions to the VP Communities and the President. And can we have the candidates for Vice President Communities, please?
Hi, sorry. I've just noticed that people are having some conversation, so just to respect all the candidates, if there's something you want to talk about, can you please just take it outside? Thank you.
Okay, my name is Aruba. I'm the current Vice President of Student Activities. It's nice to meet you all. Could you all introduce yourselves just so everyone can know who you are, please?
Hi guys, my name is Mudhu Kitani and I'm running for the new role that is Vice President Communities this year. I'm a postgraduate international student and studying strategic marketing management.
Hi guys, I'm Tahir Gadiwala. I'm studying Marketing and Analytics Masters, MSc, and I'm running for the new role, which is the same, Communities Vice President Communities. So yeah, hope for the best.
Hi guys, I'm Kushaf. I'm a second year student. I study business, and I'm really excited to run for Communities role and unite everyone at SU.
Hi, my name is Chitra and I'm from India. I'm currently studying psychology first year, and I'm running for the Vice President Communities.
Thank you all. It's nice to meet you. Okay, we'll start off with the questions. So the first question is, what skills do you think you would bring to this role? So Mudhu, can we start with you, please?
So I don't know if most of you know, this is a second master's for me. So I already have done an MBA and I've done engineering back home in India. And back home in India, there has been positions that I've held, like student representatives, heads of communities, heads of the cultural committee, as well as head of performing arts. So these are some positions that I've held in the previous past, which I think will help me build a new role, which is Vice President Communities.
First, I would talk about experience, say. So during my undergrad years, I was part of the Student Management Council as well. Now over here, I'm a postgrad officer for Aston. And personally what I think is that the mistakes I've made, all of us make mistakes. As a postgrad officer, I've made some mistakes which I can reflect on. And I know that if I carry on forward from here on, as a VP communities, whatever, if I become, first of all. So what essential changes which I can, make. See, it's not about change here, it's just about maybe, growing better. And what I can do it, reflecting on my mistakes. And skills, if you specifically talk about skills here, I personally believe is that I'm very warm in terms of, I can talk to anyone, I can accommodate anyone. That's what I think personally I'm good at. And I'm confident about that, essentially. That's the main forte which I am going to focus on as a communities officer. Because again, as a communities officer...
Okay, so we move on to the next candidate, please.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll keep...
As a second year student who came to uni with 0 friends, I mixed with so many different types of people. I had home students as friends and international students, and students from loads of different societies, but I never saw them mixing together. And as Vice President of Communities, when I get the role, hopefully, I want to help these groups mix together and make more fun events that are bigger and more inclusive to everyone at SU, not just restricted to one type of people.
Hi. So the question was what qualities I want to have in me, or like.
What skills do you think you bring to the role?
Oh, the skills that I would bring to the role. So I'm an international student, and I think that being kind of an extrovert and like having the courage to like talk to people and everything, I've realized that we have so many like multiple communities, like thousands of people here, like different communities here, and we don't even know what the next person sitting right next to us, like why do they celebrate their major event that like I celebrate Diwali, like maybe the person sitting next to me doesn't know why do I actually do it. So like maybe if I am the vice president for the communities, I would want to like have, as it is mentioned in my manifesto, that I would want to have a festival for like communities festival where all of the communities come together, like maybe share their food, maybe share how they like celebrate certain things. So I would really want to do that, so that you get to learn about more things, because you're here and you can like learn about many communities and you can take.
Okay, thank you. Next question. How would you ensure that different communities at Aston feel represented? If we could start from the other side. Please.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yes, sure. How would you ensure that different communities at Aston feel represented?
So like we have major communities, like we celebrate some major events here, but some of the other communities might feel like, oh, this is a major event, like festival for me, but it's not really recognized here. So maybe like have like questionnaires, or maybe have like regular checks on the students, like, and you can like suggest what events you would want to have, and what are, according to your communities, what are your festivals and events that you would want to have introduced in the SU and want other communities and other societies, other people from the other cultures to enjoy it. So maybe that would be something.
Okay, so what I want to do is to communicate with loads of different types of people, because some people are underrepresented, and I want to give the smaller societies and clubs a platform to speak. And I feel like as a person who likes to communicate in person and not just online, I would definitely make a change and have someone who's always in SU and always talking to people and always actively meeting people to see what they need and how we can represent them better and give them a platform.
My slogan is one for all and all for one. So as a communities officer, to gather everyone, it's not about having different, we can of course have different events and everything, but the focus shall be one particular event, no matter any culture, any religion, etc. But how we can be more inclusive, how we can accommodate more people in that one particular event. So everyone feels at home in general. It's not about celebrating one particular festival, one particular community festival, cultural festival. No, it's about celebrating one festival as a whole. So that's my focus over here.
So for the question, there are two particular agendas that I have clearly defined in my manifesto, which is basically unified diversity, which is my first agenda, and build community, not communalism, which is my second agenda. And these two agendas typically talk about why I would want to be in this role and how I will want the other communities, clubs and societies to represent themselves at Aston. So when I'm talking about unified diversity, I want the clubs and societies and other communities to come under a wholesome platform where we can have more representation. Like if you see, you can just pan around in this room and you'll see a lot of people from different countries and communities. So I want that. And secondly, when I'm talking about building community and not communalism, I'm talking about we celebrating a community as a whole, than we celebrating our particular culture just for us. And that is something that I think I'll be getting in trouble as well, but I'm open to do that when I'm vice president of communities, and if I am vice president.
Thank you very much. Okay, next question is a bit of a hefty question, so let me know if you need me to repeat the question. What does equality, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility mean to you? So what does equality, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility mean to you? Could you start off with Dahu first, please?
Equality, diversity,
Inclusion and accessibility.
I think so personally, rather than not dividing all of these four aspects, they're quite parallel to each other. When you focus on one particular aspect like inclusivity, and the other points which you mentioned, accessibility, right? So when you focus on one particular aspect, you're focused well enough. Other things might fall in place again. So you don't need to be very, we say that, okay, I'm going to focus on this aspect only. It's like maybe we can all together bring everything around us, bring inclusivity, like for instance, you say we can be more accommodating, we can get more people around us in all community events, and maybe that's the best thing what we can do moving forward. I mean, that's the best I can answer.
Thank you. Kushaf, if you can go next, please.
Okay, I think for me, accessibility is important because if we have accessibility, we have everything. If everyone can access the events and if everyone can access SU, then everyone will be able to, it will be diverse and it will be inclusive at the same time. So if we have events or just general things that everyone can take part in, everyone is able to and not restricted by, then we will be able to have a diverse SU and an inclusive SU.
So yeah, again, I feel the same. Like if it happens that there's just a bunch of people that come to the SU and only they know about the events or the things that are going on here, and they can just tell a friend thing. So like they just tell their friends like, oh, this thing is going on, do you want to come? But there's so many people and so many students in the whole of Aston who don't even know where these things are going on. So like I would want to have more reach out to people in a certain way that if you come into the SU, you should know about, oh, there's an event, just come on. Or even if you are not regularly coming to the SU through the online portal, we could always tell people, spread awareness about the events and stuff that will be going on at the SU, and I think that would have
Yeah.
So I like how the question that was asked has panned out again to one of my agendas, which is my fifth agenda, which is inclusivity, equality and sustainability. And in that, obviously, the two terms that you mentioned are clearly mentioned. I'd like to form a sense of belonging. And allo-inclusivity is a term I'd like to define here. Allo-inclusivity basically talks about inclusiveness, but with the sense of others' community, others' nature, others' personality, etc. That is something that I want to clearly define in the entire university. When I'm talking about equality, I want to create a sense of self-identity, where anybody can be anyone who they want. They can have a louder voice, a softer voice, they can come from any community, they can be from the pride community, from the black community, from the Indian community, from anywhere, but they can have friends everywhere and they cannot just be in a silo of their own community. And when I'm talking about accessibility, I guess it's only the SU and the way we lead the SU who will give us that accessibility to all these communities.
Thank you very much. Okay, final question. As you may all be aware, this role of the VP communities is new. So what would be your first action if you were to win and become the VP communities? If we can start off with Kushaf first, please.
Okay, so the first thing I would do is branch out to the biggest communities that we do have already, and then moving on from there, I'd branch out to the smaller communities and see how the small communities in SU and the big communities can work together to make a larger platform for everyone, and so everyone has a place to hold events. So for example, I know that some of the Caribbean society is not as popular as maybe the Islamic society, and maybe they could work together to have events that shows both sides together, and it will create a bigger community for everyone.
So it should be a home away from home for some students. We have mature students, we have international students, and even home students who are staying here away from their parents. So maybe they should feel home if they come to SU. And it's not about, oh, we have to celebrate this, we have to do this, we have to do that. You need to rest. This should be a place where the students can just come and feel safe, feel like they're at peace, rest, and just feel good about themselves and about others. And apart from the communities and stuff, you have to feel good in yourself good about yourself in your own skin. So maybe like things that make students feel good and like safe and have fun at the same time. And also for the other students, like people who don't really have many connections and stuff, maybe have more better network and connections, so that like for the placement years and all other things, like you can have connections.
Daru, if we can go to the next, please.
When I came in as a student, I realized that one of the key things over here is, people asking you, okay, what do you want as a student? Asking you, okay, are you feeling comfortable over here? And I think SU is the place where everyone is together, personally. And for me, if I become a VP communities, my main aim, the first thing which I want to do, rather than focusing, of course we all have agendas and everything, but knowing people in general. Of course, I can't go to every individual and maybe ask them what do they want. But as a whole, maybe few groups, few sections, few different communities, okay, what do you want? What actions would you like to be taken in place? So rather than, of course my agendas are important, but their agenda as a student is important because we work for the students in it. So that's the thing which I would like to do first initially.
First, I'd like to know the people who are being elected for the other positions. That's the first thing that I will be doing. Because what I've got to know and what I've generally seen is that the SU as a whole operates a little, it's diverse, but it operates a little in silos. So I want to first know about my own people who are working with me and create that sense of taking the SU ahead. And secondly, like Tahir mentioned, I guess it's in all four of us and the fifth person who's not here, where we have to create SU as a place where anybody can come in, anybody can be, and that'll be coming by the belief that I have when I come to SU, that you can just come here and be yourself and just have fun, or probably even study or just meet people. And that is something that we want to instill in people, and I want to start instilling by just a way of my talk.
Thank you so much. That's the end of the questions for VP communities. So thank you very much and good luck to you all. If anyone has any questions that they'd like to ask, please do so.
Everyone can hear me? Thank you. You guys talk about solutions. You guys talk about major big events that you're gonna do and make happen. What was the problem that you saw in this students' union or in the wider university group that encouraged you to go for this specific role? That this role is gonna solve that problem. So what is the problem that we saw, and how are you gonna solve that problem essentially? Which for me is reaching out to different communities that you guys talk and you showed that it's gonna solve by doing various events, big events. But how are you gonna have that first connection with them?
Of course, what I personally think, considering about the events part, that the people who come in the SU often, they know what's happening in the SU. But what about the people who aren't coming to the SU? Now, how can we reach out to them specifically? Because majority, if we see the population of a university, the majority of the students coming not in the SU regularly are more than the people who come in the SU. So you see, those people, they don't know which events are taking place or anything, and that's that slight focus over there might make a big difference in general, which I personally think. So yeah.
Can I answer?
Yeah, sure.
So I'm on the events team, right, and I help organize some of the events. And one of the biggest issues I've seen is that each event is catered to specifically one type of people. So that we have like religious events, we have certain cultural events, but I want to have events that are more inclusive to every single person. For example, events based on nostalgia, events based on sports, and not just people in specific clubs, specific societies. I want events that every single person can come to, regardless of if they're in a society or not, if they're in a culture or not, if they're in a religion or not. Like, I want to make events that every single person can have fun at, and not just one type of people.
I'll add to that, because I completely agree there, and I can again go back to things that I have in my head. We need to build communities where we are talking about arts, literature, history, and we need people to come together on those notes than coming together and I can get into trouble by saying this, with that when people come together on only religious beliefs, we need to know, like, I'll be very honest, and that's an example I'm giving everybody when I'm walking around. I'll have a larger community when I'm talking about Harry Potter than I'll have a community when I'm talking about a particular religion. Because obviously that's a global phenomenon. So we need to build global phenomenal communities, and I guess that is how we'll be able to get everybody together.
So the question was that we have all these ideas, but how will we actually make them happen? So instead of giving more ideas, I'm gonna add on to how I will make them happen. So whenever I come to the SU, there's like things that I find, oh, this could have been better, this could have been better. So like now it should be, instead of complaining about those things or like just saying, oh, I'll do this, I'll do that, it should have been done, somebody should have done this. It's gonna be me who's gonna have to do it. So I'm gonna take it upon myself, I will have to take it upon myself that the things that I found, okay, I this could have been like this. So maybe actually do those things. And I think if I am the officer, then I would know what exactly SU works like what's the mechanism, how everything goes, like for certain things, who should I go to. So I would try to branch out my abilities instead of like going to other people like, you should have done this, you should have done this. I'll take it upon me that it's my responsibility to get those things done. So instead of adding on to events, I would do those things that are already going on and maybe make them 100% good. Not 100%, but how good they can be.
Thank you very much. So how do you want to reach out to minority groups like Africans? You guys are talking about global phenomenon, nothing African. How do you want to reach me? How do you want to get my attention?
Can I do this? By just talking to you, and it's not my feeling because I do have African friends. My neighbor is an African where I stay. Her name is Fortune, a beautiful name. By just being able to talk to you and not having a sense of an individual sense of feeling that there's a community that goes together, so it's difficult for me to get into it. I really want to be with a group of Africans. I really want to be with a group of Muslims. I really want to be. I'm a Hindu. I come from India. I don't believe in all of that, but I really want to be a part of all these places and all these groups. I won't use communities as a word because then it gets somewhere here and there. But I want to be part of these groups and have those conversations with you, regular conversations about work, about classes, about what went wrong, etc. But sometimes, not just with me, and I felt it with other people because they told me, it gets a little, and that's a general feeling that you don't know how to break that silence. I think I will be able to reach you only if I can break that silence with you, personally, and then with the group.
Can I answer?
Yeah, sure.
I think I have seen myself while working with SU that there's a massive lack of representation within the black community at SU. It is a problem that we need to solve because it's just not fair. And as the Vice President of Communities, when I get the role, hopefully, I will make it my job to educate myself and to find out what's important in the black community, what's important in black culture, what is actually happening there and what we need to represent at SU. So if there's like a really big event that people celebrate in the black culture, I want to make it in SU and have that event at SU, whatever it might be. And I will obviously then talk to people in that community and say, what do you actually want? What do you need from us? And make it happen. Because it's my job to make a community for everyone, and that includes the black community.
So, for example, like I am a Hindu and I'm from India. We had a major Diwali event. So it just feels that just because we have population, like there's more of us here, me especially, like my friends and stuff, and I mean like my community people, doesn't mean that there should be big events just for us. So if you can step up and come out to the SU, because we are here, this stands, you know, we're here. If you can come out, tell us, oh, this is what we want. This is, like, I can't just know the things that you want, but like the things in general that I think like you have a major festival, you have a major event, you want it to happen, it will happen if you tell us that you want it, that it should happen, you know? So if you come in and tell us that these are the things that you want, and it's not like, it's not gonna be ignored. So you're gonna get it when you tell us more.
There are.
Go ahead, answer the question.
There were 2 points which I mentioned initially when we spoke about skills first. I really love to know people in general, talk to people. So that's one point which we can focus on. If I become the VP Communities Officer, of course these guys also mentioned that, but I spoke as well about it, that talking to people. And there's another point which I mentioned, the second one, is that many people don't come to the SU, right? So if that gap is fulfilled, if that gap is filled, then the changes can happen, the transformation can happen. So I think these 2 gaps, we need to put in more effort and fill these 2 gaps, and then it's done.
I see. It just feels like there are no plans, and there are no plans for, that's what I'm getting. It just feels like you haven't thought about it, and I don't feel included. So that's just my comment, and I hope that other roles, they can, because it just feels a bit skewed towards the Asian community and other. And I think that how is my own responsibility to bring you the name of your Diwali, but you don't know any African event, so I have to come and tell you, it doesn't feel nice. I think you should have a plan as a community rep to include everybody. It shouldn't be we looking to come to you. Have a plan, please, and I wish you all success.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I just have one question, and I would like you all to answer in one sentence. I just want you to tell me why I should vote for you in one sentence.
Can I start? Okay. As president of communities, it will be my job to educate myself and to see what the community needs. And as a student who's going to be on placement year, I have a lot of responsibilities, and I will make it everything that I do to make sure the community is heard, because I have no other things I need to do at this point except for focusing on communities and how we can make it better at SU.
So for me, it would be that, as you said, and I'm sorry that I don't know about many things about other communities, and I would want to learn. That's what I said, that if we have like one festival or like one little, get together, and you could tell me more about your culture, I could tell you more about my culture. So maybe like it needs to start somewhere. If I'm gonna educate myself, it needs to start somewhere, and it's not like I'm just gonna like know it from nowhere, So maybe I could tell you some things, or like I could, like, there's not just black communities, there's so many other communities which feel like that they are not, represented enough. So it's like I could learn about all of you guys, and you guys could learn about me, basically. And it needs to start. It's not like I shouldn't have like something pre-done, Oh, I have done this, but like, I am coming here because I want to do these things. So I would make sure that everyone is represented. If you want something, it will be done, but I need to know that it should be a thing, And I will make sure that from my end, I know that I am focusing on every aspect, and from your end, I would expect that if you want something, you come and let me know, because this is open to all, and it is open all the time. So, yeah.
I would like to say that, as you mentioned, one sentence, right? One thing I can assure you, I won't give you my agendas out and everything, but personal trait. I'm an emotional person and a passionate person. I felt, of course, I didn't, when you said that, you don't feel included, it affected me. It affected all of us. That's emotion. And passion for me is doing whatever it takes to improve anything out there. Whatever it takes. It's not about just focusing one particular aspect. Whatever it takes for me. Simple. That's one sentence for me.
I think you should vote for me because I believe that let's just say when it comes to religious beliefs, communal beliefs, I'm a rationalist, so I really do not take all of that in my head and have a conversation with people. I've come all the way from India here to actually have a very culturally diverse experience and exposure, and therefore I want to have that kind of conversations with you, because Google cannot teach me everything. Your personal stories or your community stories or any community stories is what I will be taught and what I will be taking back. And that's how I've lived my life till now, and that's how I believe I will be living it once I become Vice President Communities. And it also gives me a voice to then tell your stories to other people. And that's my plan. Activities, etc. will be separate, but I first want to start having a conversation, and that's why you should go.
So my question is kind of complicated, but basically, you guys have said lots of plans saying that how you can reach out to students. There are students saying that then they don't want to be reaching out, they want you reaching out to them. But you're just one person. Even with the whole staff team, it's just fine. We have 18K of students. How can you make sure that student is actually going to get reached? How then their voice is actually going to get heard? If you say that, like, for example, you do questionnaire stuff, students already doing questionnaire every single week. Like, what are the new methods you're going to use? Like, just name one method that you will be planning to use if you get this role to actually to reach out to students instead of students coming to you.
Can I answer? As of next year, if I get this role, I will always be in uni 24/7. I don't have a part-time job. I don't have other responsibilities. I don't have anyone dying to look after. This is my only thing I want to do. So I will be in uni 24/7 most of the time. So I will always be in SU. I will always be in main building. I will always be talking to people and attending all the events that we already have and seeing the missing gaps. So by being present in person and not just online, that's how I want to reach out to people. And that's how I want to talk to people and start building communities.
So for me, it would be that some people don't really want to come, like to the SU, or like they don't really wanna be like, oh, this is me and I'm gonna say these things. They would rather like just text or like rather just answer a few questions, I think, and because not everyone wants to meet people and do things the way I wanna do. That I wanna talk to people. I wanna be here and like do things in person. I don't really like the online aspect of like doing things. I like the in person. But for the people who want to do it online and who want to like put up random like regular stories, put up regular like posts and stuff, and reaching out online would be my thing, because I think that's how most of the students would be comfortable.
As you asked, how are you going to reach them, right? Of course, I believe that one individual cannot reach out everyone. And I believe that one person can not only be responsible for a particular change. It's about leading the way. It's about being a leader. Now, as in the SU, we have an event organizing team and everything we have. The reason we have, because everything cannot be handled by one person. Same way it works when reaching out to people. We can delegate responsibilities, we can give responsibilities to the trusted people, and we divide the work, and then personally then reach out to people. That's how better then we can get better in that particular aspect as well.
I think I have decent friendships at Aston University that I've made in the last 6 months, and I can definitely ask for help and support with the people who are my friends. And I also know that the friends that I've made are of the same beliefs that I have. They do not have a biased approach towards any particular community, any student representatives, any student bodies. So I know I can actually take their help to call out students, to call out communities, societies and clubs. I do know people in these societies and clubs inside as heads of communities as well, who can definitely help me out. And they really want to help out, because I guess at the end, the friends that I have and the people who are at those positions have a common goal. So I will definitely use that and branch that out to the students.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I have a question.
We don't. Go on.
clubs and societies, which is a VPSA role. How are you going to manage keeping that relationship productive, that you're not stepping on their toes and they're not stepping on your toes?
I guess, like I said, the people who are electing or running to the positions, I don't know all of them, but in case I'm VP Communities, I do plan to at least have a friendship with them so that I don't step over their roles. I've had some experience in corporate business, so I do know where to take a step back and let the leader do their role. I will always be supportive, but I do have my own KRAs, and I understand that they have their own KRAs and I cannot step into their shoes and do their job. But then I can definitely support them and have a friendship to let them know if they're doing wrong. And I think that's where I'll stop myself, by telling them what's right and wrong, and then it's up to them as a leader to go ahead.
So can we make it just one sentence each, please, just because we're wary of time?
Totally agree with Madhut, communication. Communication is the key to avoid any misunderstandings, to avoid any, work being parallel or overlapping. So that's important. Same.
For me, I think all 5 sabbatical roles were a team, so I'll obviously work with them to reach everyone and not work against them or stepping on their toes.
So yeah, the same, like the clubs and societies or the sabbatical officers, basically the SU is one unit, and it's not like you did it like it's not anything different. Like everyone is focusing on one single goal. So like, yeah, again, like you guys literally said everything what I was thinking, like communication and stuff.
Teamwork.
Yeah, literally teamwork.
Okay, thank you very much. That concludes the round of questions for VP Communities. If we have the candidates for president, please. Okay, so now we have the candidates for the role going for president. So if you would all like to introduce yourselves, starting off from this side first, please.
Thank you. My name is Atul Rana. I'm an international student, and I was studying MSc International Accounting and Finance, and I'm the current student president.
My name is Akil Mohammed. I'm a law LLB student in my final year. I live in Birmingham. I've been in the university for about 3 years, so yeah.
I'm Michael Pritchard. I'm studying a PhD in computer science, but I spent my undergraduate here at Aston as well. I'm the current union chairperson, and I'm running for president this year.
Hi, my name is Adi Shino Ajogo. I'm studying data analytics. I'm a student of Masters.
Hi guys, my name is Mahnur. I am a MSc Strategic Digital Marketing student. I'm one of the NUS delegates as well for 2023, for this year basically. And yeah, I've lived in London for 8 years and now I'm living in Birmingham.
Thank you very much, it's nice to meet you all. Okay, we'll start off with the first question. Why did you decide to run for president, and what qualities do you think you have that will make you able to lead the Students' Union? If we can start off first with Mahnur, please.
Sorry, can you repeat the question again?
Sure. Why did you decide to run for president, and what qualities do you think you have to be able to lead the Students' Union?
The reason why I decided to run for the president is because, first of all, I was really impressed with what Atul has been doing. I watched him. And secondly, being this university being my second home, ever since I've been here, I've made a lot of friends, and seeing what they go through and seeing the issues that they face, I wanted to, help them solve those problems and be a part of this journey. Yeah.
Yeah, so the reason why I decided to run for the president position is so that I can represent the student interest and ranging from communities, societies, and ensure that all their rights are protected, and I will liaise with various facilities and officers to ensure that the students are fully represented.
Michael?
So, as I mentioned, I've been an undergraduate student at Aston. I started in 2015, and then I started my PhD in 2020. And in my time, I've been involved in the Students' Union in a number of different ways. I was a Civil Students Officer, I'm currently a Union Chairperson, and I've even worked on the staff side of the university as a teaching assistant. So my experience has shown me a lot about Aston, about this community here, and about what works and what doesn't. And I've developed the skills and the experience over those years to know how to make change happen at Aston. And how to ensure that we as a Students' Union can hold the university accountable to ensure that it's delivering the high quality kind of standard of education that the students deserve, and that we as a Students' Union are being held accountable to ensure that we're always operating in the students' interests.
So my journey to the decision to make it started a few weeks back when obviously the elections came up. I decided that there was a few problems with the university, and I thought, instead of saying, oh, this is wrong, I thought, why not put myself forward? Why not try and see where the problems stem from, and let's see if there's something that can be done from it. I have an experience in managing businesses, and so I thought if I have experience in that, then I have experience in able to help run the student union.
Well, I decided last year to become the Students' Union president, and the reasons were absolutely very similar to what other people have said, that there were problems that I was seeing. I didn't want to stand outside and say that these are the problems. I wanted to be in the system and to actually do something about those problems. When I ran for last year, the motivation was different. We have worked towards different difficult goals that we set last year, and we achieved those goals. Even people told that those are not achievable goals. The reason for me for running the next year is to build upon those goals, to have a continuity in the leadership. Because 1 year, it's very less for a sabbatical officer to come and understand the whole role and then build upon it. So I believe the second year will benefit me to build upon these objectives that I'm bringing to this year.
Thank you very much. Okay, second question, Mr. Murray Caffey, it's a very hefty one. The university has increased its intake of international students, and it's expanded to various countries like China, Nigeria, and India, for example. What do you think is the biggest difficulty for international students to get involved in the university experience? If we could first start off with Akil first, please.
Very hefty question indeed. What I'd say probably the biggest one is one which I think home students, especially myself during COVID, can relate to, is where the loneliness of arriving at such a strange place. And this is something which I can relate to heavily. Even though I was born in Birmingham and I lived in Birmingham my whole life, coming to such a strange place like Aston University and starting it out, I can understand that, being lonely and not being able to make friends. And I think that's what one of my biggest things is, helping new people, whether you're a home student, whether you're an international student, whatever it is, to help you to be able to incorporate inside the community, to be able to become the better person and become the best person you can.
So, also myself, I'm a home student, but the experiences that I've seen from my friends and colleagues who are international students is that one of the things that international students often struggle with is that transition into university and into the new country. I've known international students who've started PhDs and have been in the country 2 weeks but have never even been given information about how to set up a bank account in the UK. And these kinds of things, international students are lacking that kind of welcome into the country, into the city, and even into the Aston community. So I think it's really about ensuring that the university doesn't just see international students as people who they can get more expensive tuition fees from, but ensuring that the university actually welcomes international students, makes them a meaningful part of the community we have here in Birmingham.
So I'm an international student, so the major problem is transitioning and mixing, and also getting used to the religion and the ethics here. So I think that's the major problem for international students. Also, the communities, getting used to their communities here is also one of their biggest challenges, biggest problem we have, because some communities are not functioning and some don't know how to approach maybe, and the student union, I don't know, do well with the student union, approach them and talk them out about it. So I think the major problem is the transitioning and into the new country and mixing and getting along with them well.
Transition, like everyone said, that is one of the major difficulties that international students face. Also, the cultural differences and language barrier would be another one. I'm just going to pass on to that.
So, as you know, the university has increased its intake of international students, reaching out to China, India, Nigeria, for example. What do you think is the biggest difficulty for international students to get involved in the university experience?
I don't agree with the fact that there is a singular difficulty for all the international students. There are various difficulties with various topics, with various backgrounds. The number of students that are coming are huge, so difficulties are going to be very different. But it's difficult for university as well. What I have seen in my experience as president, the university approaches towards dealing with those difficulties haven't changed since the last 20 years. They are still dealing with the difficulties as they used to do, but the difficulties have changed, and particularly in terms of international students. So what we have to do as the union is to keep the university that you have to change your approach. You have to be more. Reactive to what the problems are and change quickly, because the world is changing quickly. We are in an environment where things are changing at the faster pace than ever before.
Thank you very much. Next question. The president's role is slightly, quite different to the vice president's. It's a non-portfolio role. So it means that the president doesn't have a specific remit. So it means that they're required to manage their own workload. They have to juggle quite a lot. So taking this into account, how would you ensure that you work effectively? If we could first start off with, I don't remember who was lined up first. Okay, Atul, if you go first.
Can I answer this question?
Go first.
My experience as president, what you said is absolutely true, that we don't have a particular portfolio as other vice presidents. But I think the biggest job in this role is to have a team, to build a team, and to support, to fill the gap wherever it's necessary. And on top of that, being the biggest voice of the students at the highest level, because they may not have a portfolio, but they sit on the various top level meetings, which changes a lot of things. We have seen this year, the pace that universities have changed their approach, the pace of university providing support to the students' union and students in general was higher than ever before, and that's because the president was there taking their voice and making sure that the voice is heard by the university.
Yeah, could you possibly repeat the question?
Sure. So president's role is quite different to the vice president's. They don't have a specific, it's a non-portfolio officer role. So they have to balance their own workload, they have to juggle quite a lot. How would you ensure that you work effectively if you were to become the president?
Well, I guess in this circumstance, from experience, what I can say is time management is very, very key. You've got a 9-to-5 job. Obviously, what you want to do is get maximum efficiency out of it. Same thing within business, and same thing within a degree as well. That your teaching hours are very limited, and you have to do things yourself. So what I'd say is I'll probably manage it with maximum time efficiency and ensure that a list of goals is set for each month, each week, and we'll see where we can get to, how we can do it, and each week we try to focus on what I can do for each day and build that up from there.
Sure. So you're absolutely right. The president is a non-portfolio role without a specific remit, and I think that's because I see the president as a facilitator. I think the president role is really about ensuring that the university and the students' union is hearing the students' voice and is keeping the students at the forefront of everything they do. I don't think that it should be the case that the president solely is the only voice the university listens to. The president is about being a platform and uplifting the voices of the other students. Now, in terms of actually working effectively on the job, for me, a lot of that comes back to accountability, right? You measure a president being effective by whether the student body who they're elected to represent are actually satisfied with how they're doing. And as president, my door would always be open, but I know that can be a bit of a kind of throwaway phrase. I would also make sure that I carved out time every week where I would be available on a drop-in basis for you as students to come along and say what you think I should be doing, what you thought about what I have been doing, if you think I've been stepping wrong, going in the wrong direction. I want to hear that, and I want to improve and make sure that I'm always serving you as the students, not just my own personal interests.
How could you repeat the question?
Sure. So the president is a non-portfolio role, slightly different to the vice presidents. They have to, for example, balance their own workload. So how would you ensure that you work effectively if you were to become the president?
Like you said earlier, time management is the key. That's the number one key. So, and there's something we call law of attraction. So law of attraction is also one of the main key in the president's role. And also, you have to plan your strategy and your tactics in order to align with your time management, which is also key and fundamental to your position. So I think that's all.
For me, it's all about prioritizing the tasks, making a list of things that need attention, urgent attention, and then going from there. This is how I manage everything else in my life as well, working with my dad, doing my assignments, everything, be it anything. But yeah, just about prioritizing the tasks and going from there.
Thank you. Okay, final question. How would you balance your time between students who are already engaged in the Students' Union compared to the students who are not already engaged? If we could first start off with Adeshina, please.
I'll repeat the question.
So how would you balance your time between students who are already engaged with the Students' Union compared to those who are not engaged? So how would you balance your time?
Balancing the time, like I said earlier, you have to plan your tactics and your strategy, and also you have to be a scrum master for you to balance the time with the student that knows more about that are good with the student union and those that are not. So I think it all depends on your strategy and your tactics and your time management with your with you being a scrum master. Because if you're a lone wolf, you cannot work. You cannot work alone. You cannot do the president role alone. You have to get intelligent people around you, and you have to facilitate with them, support them, and so that you can work on the role and be able to perfect your time. So I think that's what I can say about it.
Mahmoud, please come to you, please.
Do you want to go first? It's okay.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah. So it's right. We have a lot of students. We have a community of 18,000 students here at Aston, and a massive number of those are not engaged with the Students' Union. And I think those would really need to be a priority for the president to figure out how we can engage with those students. And in my experience, it's very often certain groups of students who aren't getting enough focus they deserve. For instance, we have a lot of degree apprentice students who are distance learners. We have a lot of postgrad research students studying PhDs. We have a lot of foundation year students, and a lot of these groups of students aren't getting the focus we deserve because we very often focus on undergrads and on masters. and sometimes are guilty of forgetting that there are students outside those groups. So I think focusing on reaching out to those students, to the whole community of 18,000 students, is a real priority for the President. Obviously, not at the cost of those students who are already engaged. We know that we have students who are already engaged with the SU, and we want to keep engaging with those students, but I think it's a real priority to make sure that we're reaching out to students who we're not yet reaching.
It's quite a good question, to be fair, because it shows that there is a market out there that needs to be captured. In business, oftentimes what we do say is it's cheaper to keep your current customers than to get new customers. Same thing sort of applies here. What I'd say is, I'm not saying that we're going to forget about the rest of the population, but we'll keep the sole focus of having our current students that participate in the student union, and what we can do is sort of have events and larger sort of events where we can have outreach programs to the minority of students who aren't participating in the student union. And I think that's sort of the most effective sort of strategy. Another thing that would be a big thing would be word of mouth, especially amongst friendships, especially amongst communities, a lot of accommodations, etc. We can spread the word of mouth to join the student union. All right, thank you.
I agree with what Michael said, that the students who are not engaging with us, they are the priority. How we can reach out to them, how we can make them feel that students' union is for them to represent their interests and to support them. That would take the priority, and that would take it's a much longer term objective that the President would have to achieve, and that would go into the long-term strategy. And at the same time, what I believe that the most effective way of engaging with students who are not engaging with us is the representation. Until unless those students won't see the representation of themselves in the student body, they won't engage with us. They want to see someone whom they belong to, they want to see someone whom they can come to and say that these are our problems, and someone who understands their problems. So, taking a structure where they are more than welcome and comfortable to come and explain their problem, and we do understand their problem and also work on them. In terms of the students who are already engaged with us, I think they are also the priority, but in a different way. We have a structure around them. How do we constantly, in a short term, constantly improve the structure again and again?
Thank you very much. That concludes the questions for the. Oh, sorry.
And like everyone said, the priority is engagement of other people who are not already engaged, the students. But then focusing on keeping your focus on the students that are currently engaged is important as well. And like Atul said, representation is how we're going to get more people from the university, students from all sorts of backgrounds to, engage with the activities. But yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay, now concludes the questions for the President's round. If we have any questions, please feel free. Sorry, Rachel, you're saying something? We have time for one. Okay, let's start off with that slide first. One question from this slide and then one question from...
Sorry.
So, the question is, given that this year certain demographics have various complaints and felt underrepresented, what's your plans to represent those demographics and how can we hold you accountable for your actions?
Is this a direct question? Can you say the first line, given certain demographics? Sorry.
So, thank you. Certain demographics have various complaints and felt underrepresented this year. What's your plans to represent those demographics and how can we hold you accountable for your actions?
Okay. Just to clear out, there are no formal complaints right now in the system. But there were miscommunication, misunderstanding that has happened, and my way of dealing with it, because we are talking about specific incident, we had a meeting with the relevant people, with the relevant parties. We had a communication we try to solve out as many things as possible, and we reach a conclusion where the other different parties who had concerns were reached to a point, okay, they were misunderstanding that happened, and I expressed myself as what was the whole agenda. So I think in those sort of scenarios, these sort of things could happen, but then again, it comes down to communication, how you put yourself out, you reach out to people who are concerned, how you communicate with them, how you show that mistakes could happen, but there's always a way to be approachable and to communicate with us.
I think the point that Atul has made obviously is one which is very clear. But to emphasize on your second point of how can we be accountable is one thing which I think is fair enough to which screams democracy is setting up something like a national assembly in which where students can come together and can sit down with the president and say to him on a fortnightly basis, on a monthly basis, and sit down and say, look, we're not happy with X, Y, and Z. What can you do about it? There can be a vote, there can be some sort of system where we can sort of figure out a solution to the problem. Now, obviously, it takes time, there's loopholes, etc. But that's the thing. Once we build up on the foundation, then essentially from there, we can work together and build a better university together.
I think I absolutely agree in that everything is about democracy. As a students' union, the most fundamental thing we are is democracy. And democracy isn't just about votes in elections and at the union council, which I've chaired this year, and all these other things, but it's also on a more fundamental grassroots level. It's about, as president, reaching out to students, reaching out to groups that we know might not be satisfied or might not feel they're represented, reaching out directly and saying, okay, let's sit down, what do you want from us? How can we make that happen? It's about that direct democracy as well as the more formal voting side, things through union council. There are processes to hold officers accountable, and as president I want to be held accountable. But it's about that direct democracy as well. Talking with people, finding out what people want, finding out where people are concerned, and actually listening to that feedback.
So a form should be put out. Through a form, and also reaching out to the university, knowing the numbers of nationals that are in the university, sending a Google form to them, just like a survey. So to know and hear more from them. And when it comes to being accountable, I'll be accountable for it, and also I should be accountable for if any rules is broken, or if the being are not properly represented in the society.
Like you said, like everyone said, reaching out to the people who have concerns, holding monthly sessions. I have that on my manifesto as well. Holding monthly sessions with people coming in and discussing the problems they have, and actually acting on the issues they're facing.
Okay, thank you very much. Go for a question with someone who hasn't had a say yet on this point, just at the back.
So my question is this: how approachable are you guys? Based on if somebody probably reaches out to you online or something and wants to ask a question, how approachable are you guys, and what's your response time? Does it take you like forever to respond? Just in case of like an emergency or something.
Just to add on the last question, what as I said, in terms of accountability and approachability, in one of the manifesto point is the scrutiny panel, which is going to scrutinize the performance of the sabbatical officer. So that's a different thing. In terms of the approachability, we have different channels of approachability: Instagram, emails, in person, drop-in sessions, and one of my personal campaign was go out and talk. So it's every month I take some time out of my diary, go out and talk to students. The response time, normally with emails, it's 2 to 3 days, but we try to do it more than before. On Instagram, it's a bit later. Sometimes it takes a week to respond on Instagram because a lot of messages happening. But I believe approachability is something that's beyond the social media emails. You have to be among the student body, listening to them, understanding their concerns, knowing what's happening currently. That's where you are more approachable, where people can come and talk to you straight away. They shouldn't feel the barrier of, oh, you are the president of this whole building. But that's not true. We are here to represent their voice, and there shouldn't be any barrier. So it should be more in person, being in front of, being in the student communities.
Yeah, so to answer that question, obviously approachability is a very, very big thing. I understand that, especially from international communities, etc. Hence why the National Assembly would be assembled. Obviously that's something we'd have on a regular basis, which would be open for all students. Now, in regards to emails and messages, Instagram, etc. I don't know what the workload is at the moment. I don't know what the message load is at the moment. There's a lot. But obviously, idealistically, we try to get through as much as we can. And Atul just told me, there is a lot. So I do believe him to some extent. But it's alright. But yeah, so 2 to 3 days, obviously, if we can get it sooner, then obviously we try the best.
It's a tough question, right? Certainly I'd like to think that I'm as approachable and friendly as possible. But I recognise that obviously that might be a different thing, depending kind of person to person how approachable they feel I am. In terms of kind of response times, emails and social media, I'll always try and be on those as quickly as possible. But I know that it's very easy to sit here and say, oh, well, I'm going to respond to all your emails immediately. And then when you get a few months into the job and things start piling up, which is why I'll make sure that as president I reserve a certain amount of time each week, something like an afternoon every week, to be in a place that's accessible to students, where you can come along, sit down with me and drop in and just say, hey, I dropped you a message on Instagram, you didn't get a chance to reply, I want to talk to you right now about this thing, and I will make sure that I'm available to you students.
So like you said earlier, so social media, through social media, and also through official email, and also through, I think, digital phone number should be added also. So if you can't get me through email or through social media, so there should be a phone number that you can reach onto me. Maybe call me and let me know that there's a message you send that I haven't replied. So I think adding a phone number, digital number to it, that will be reasonable.
As Atul said, there is a lot of workload, and being available all the time and saying that you'll be available all the time is not sustainable and not something that we can promise. But then obviously holding drop-in sessions every week, allocating a time, and then you guys coming to us with your issues and whatnot, and we'll be able to look at them. But then obviously we will have to set a time. We can't just say that we'll be available all the time. We will be around, but then allocating a certain amount of time where you guys can come in and talk to us. That's something we can do.
Thank you very much. Rachel, do we have any time for more questions? No? So sorry, we're very strict on time. So that concludes the questions for the round of presidents. So thank you very much. Thank you very much to all the candidates and for everyone coming.
Can I just a flat reminder to all the candidates, can we keep the competition healthy and stay respectful towards each other, please, during this week? Thank you. Also, everyone, voting opens tomorrow at 9 a.m. and you basically have to vote